Hello, and welcome to the December 18th, 2017 Board of Directors meeting. We have a pretty good agenda ahead of us, but with a lot of positive things, a lot of things that are really getting us well poised for 2018. Before we just get started, though, I did just want to take this opportunity on behalf of the board and to the board of I just really want to extend how grateful I think we all are as a board for the opportunity to see the incredible things that everyone is doing through the district. Obviously, the students are the drivers, but also our teachers, our staff, our administrators, our central office administrators, everyone. And that I think for myself, I feel it's such a privilege to be able to learn about your decisions, provide whatever guidance we can, whatever support we can. And so I think, and I'm sure that everyone might weigh in as the night goes on, but I think on behalf of the board, I think we all wish you a very warm and healthy and happy holidays to come in and get excited for 2018. And so thanks very much. So with that awkward segue, we're going to go ahead and do the approval of the minutes for December 4th, 2017. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes for our December 4th, 2017 meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, the next is for recognition, which is very exciting and well-deserved.
So this evening, we have a very special recognition that we would like to bring to the board's attention and to the public's attention. And Mr. McCune is actually going to introduce our special recognition tonight.
Good evening, everybody. This is a fun one. As you've probably already heard, Ms. Jamie Jones is the Maine Principals Association Assistant Principal of the Year. We announced this at a surprise assembly last Tuesday. That was a lot of fun. Teachers didn't know about it. Students didn't know about it. A gentleman by the name of Dick DeRost, he's the Executive Director of the Maine Principals Association. He came down and he presented her with the award. For those of you who are maybe not overly familiar with all of the great things that Jamie does, I've prepared a somewhat short list just to share with you. She's really led a number of initiatives for us here at Greely High School. She pretty much started our credit recovery program at the high school. She has helped to define and refine our RTI program at the high school. She leads our student support team. She has organized our Staff Appreciation Week. She has organized our Tribute to the Arts Assembly. She's organized Challenge Day. She develops our staff professional development workshops that we have over the course of the school year. As you know, she's on the policy committee, and she has initiated restorative practices at Greely High School. And that is just an abbreviated list of all the things that she does for us. She's a doer. She gets a lot of things done. But the thing that's probably most important to point out is that you don't win an award like this if your primary focus isn't the kids. And she always makes time in her day for the kids, no matter what she's doing. She will drop what she's doing and she will make time for the kids regardless of what they need. So, as I said, I'm very proud to share with you that Jamie Jones is the Assistant Principal of the Year for the state of Maine.
All right, thank you for the warm recognition. Dan has really enjoyed this time of year. He really thrives off of embarrassing me, so this has been very nice. But I do appreciate the recognition. It has been kind of a whirlwind. It's very exciting always to be recognized for hard work, but I seriously could not have gotten to this point without the wonderful staff that I work with every day. Helping to support our students. Our community is always there. So without the awesome Greely community, MSAD 51 district, I could not have gotten here. So thank you all for your help and support.
So Jamie, I wish you would have stayed at the mic, but I'll say to you, even when you're sitting there, I just really appreciate everything that you do. I know the assistant principal role in our district, as in many districts, can be a very challenging one. Oftentimes, it's the first person that a student who is struggling or not, or potentially falling behind or falling into problems in their school day or school week. A lot of those come to you to ferret out and assist. And that can be really, that is a really challenging role. I've been very impressed with the work that I've seen you do around the restorative practices, around the response to intervention, around the credit recovery, which are, for those in our viewing audience at home who may not know, really are designed to give the student an opportunity to succeed and an opportunity to be re-engaged in their learning and to get back on top, which I think is what every student wants. And so thank you for that as a parent and as a board member. That's been really a nice, when you look at our detentions that have dropped, when you look at the number of kids that are graduating successfully and not with a sprint to the finish line because they've been identified far earlier in the process than I think at times we were doing. It's really kudos to you for beginning those programs and really championing a much more positive way for students to get back on track.
I echo that. I mean, we see it and we hear stories that it's really was very helpful and really wonderful to hear Dan list out all you do, because as he ticks through it, all of it resonates and all of it, we can all identify a single reach out and touch, and you are the line, and to be recognized in that very difficult position and have the vision when you're in the trenches. Sometimes when you're in the trenches, it's hard to keep your head up, right? Because you're dealing with the immediacy. But to bring vision to that position, and this is you, this is also Dan, we're very fortunate. We look, it's always so exciting for everything. So Jamie, thank you so much for that, and congratulations. It is truly a reflection of what we see every day. So congrats.
I just want to say Jamie has done some terrific work at the high school. Dan has listed only a few things to keep it abbreviated, but this is all in amongst student issues, parents that have concerns, staff that need to talk to an administrator. Jamie is there, Dan is there each and every day, and our high school is stronger for both of you. Thank you very much. And Jamie, congratulations again for an awesome honor. It's a huge honor to be singled out as the assistant principal for the state of Maine. That's huge. So I want to say congratulations.
And Jamie, I just wanted to say too, we've worked together, I think 3 years on the policy committee, and just as a board connection, there's no way the policy committee could be doing what we're doing if it wasn't for your thoughtfulness and your watchful eye. And really, I know that as a chair, I always look to you to really say, okay, is this the best thing for the kids? Is this the best thing for the district? And I really trust your opinion. So this is such a well-deserved award. Congratulations.
And I just want to say two things as well. So echoing what Kate said, the opportunity to work with you last year on the policy committee, the way that you approach everything, thinking about the students first, always jumped out pretty clearly on every single piece of the policies. But if I knew nothing else about you other than what you do with Challenge Day, it would probably be enough, because having watched the way that you open people's eyes into a broader knowledge of themselves and of their community is spectacular. It has to be exciting to be you, to think about in 20 years, all of these kids are still going to remember your name. So thanks for everything that you do.
Great. Well, thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Doug Pride as to a field trip request for Guatemala.
Good evening. Happy holidays, everyone. Thanks for considering our request about a field trip, if you will, a service trip to Guatemala to Safe Passage. Safe Passage is near and dear to my wife Becky's and my heart, so we've been involved with it for some time, and we're thrilled with the possibility of being able to go down there with a group of students. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Duncan Larry. He's a senior here at Greely, and he's done much of the legwork around putting together this trip, so he's going to have to do the presentation.
Well, thank you for having me. So last year, during February break, I went down to Guatemala for a service trip, and it was truly eye-opening to see the kind of poverty and hardship that the students there face and what limited opportunities that they have in life. And I knew that when I came back that I wanted to do something to help, and this is kind of what's come of that. I started a Safe Passage Club this year, and we have 15 members that have been actively participating in volunteer work with the actual Safe Passage organization and various fundraising activities. And I've been trying to organize a service trip for the end of June, the last week of June, to go down and help in Guatemala City. So the main idea of a service trip is to educate more people about what Safe Passage does and what work they're doing to change the situation of the children in Guatemala. There isn't that much that individuals can do during a one-week trip to truly change that much, but the biggest impact coming out of the service trip is that people will understand the problems there, and they'll have a very solid knowledge of what work can be done to solve those problems. And that knowledge can then be applied to everywhere else in life, to our communities here and other parts of the U.S., not just Guatemala. So I'd like to highlight a couple passages from the mission statement. In order to prepare for a global citizenship in a changing world, students must learn to communicate and collaborate effectively. Global citizenship is a very important thing, a very important part of being a 21st century learner, and there really is no better way to become a global learner than to visit a foreign country and learn about the problems it's facing and what hardships and there are and what can be done to fix them and how that can be applied to the rest of the world. And then our school culture supports the exploration of new ideas, personalization of learning, and educational risk-taking. Another part of the service trip is a full embrace of the Guatemalan culture. We take various cooking classes and Mayan language classes with the parents of the students, and it is really just incredible to learn that much about a foreign culture and just immerse yourself in it, even for just a week. And then Safe Passage was founded by Hanley, a past Greely graduate, and in past years, Greely has been more involved with the organization, and it would be really awesome if we could become involved once again. Like, there are other schools around here that send down service trips every year, every other year, and it would just mean so much to Safe Passage and to the Greely community to have that kind of connection again. So while on a service trip, it's 1 week with 5 different kind of involved days. During those days, we would participate in classroom activities like English language games with the students. We would converse with them and help with their English skills. We would kind of play recess with the youngest kids, and they absolutely love all of the kind of big kids coming to play with them. They adore us to no end. And then we also have various meetings with Safe Passage directors and coordinators, and they explain the processes that Safe Passage goes through, how their organization is run, how their Montessori-based education program works, and what they're doing to break the poverty cycle of the students there. We are currently limited to 12 participants, 4 of which are currently chaperones. Doug and Becky Pride have signed on, as well as Mrs. Allen, Denise Allen, the health teacher, and Michael Wood in Ed Tech. We are, however, working with Safe Passage to see if we can expand that to 14 participants, because we have 12 or so students that have expressed pretty serious interest in this, and we don't want to have to turn any of them away if this does get approved.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a couple.
That would be great.
Thank you, Duncan, first of all, for putting this together. I think it's phenomenal. I love the Safe Passage program, and I'm glad to see that Greely's still supporting it. And as I know, the Prides have been big supporters for a long time. So it's good to see that we're doing that as well as a school. And I love that you tied our mission statement to it. I mean, that's always going to sell it.
Oh,
Good
yeah,
job there.
you
Good
were
job.
Right down her fairway with that.
Yeah. Board calendar, school calendar. So we're done by June 24th, even with 5 additional snow days and everything
Yep.
like that, right?
Yep.
That's, I figured it must because I knew that would be really late. Okay, thank you for paying attention to that, because parents get very, as well as board members, upset when we're asking students to leave toward the end of the year. And then the cost, $1,800 is the max it would cost?
We're currently looking at the flights because the travel agent that we had gone through quoted us a price that was about $900 per flight. So we've been working with airlines, and the $600 flight is probably going to be a little bit short. It's probably going to be closer to $700.
Okay.
But around $1,800, possibly $1,900.
And this isn't to single you out, because we ask this question of anyone who comes forward with the thing, is, are you thinking about students who might not be able to afford this?
Yes, we have quite a few fundraisers planned. We've already participated in quite a few fundraisers. And though we haven't had any students express this to us yet about needing money to go. If any of the students that have already been active say that the cost we come up with is too much, we are definitely willing to work about allocating some more of the money that we fundraise to them.
Okay, great. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? Then I do just want to briefly tell you that how impressed I am with your presentation and with your materials. You're having 10 to 12, 15-year-olds leaving the country, going there, and you really have, your vision is shown through the detail, and I'm very impressed with this. So thank you so much for sharing your vision and sharing your thoughts on this project. And I do think Safe Passage has a special place in our district's heart, and I applaud you for recognizing that and for supporting that. Is this a motion?
There is a motion.
Yeah. So with that, could someone please make a motion as to I'm not even going to say the field trip, I'm going to say the service trip to Guatemala. I caught it. To Guatemala, if someone would like to make a motion in that regard?
I'll move that we approve the field trip request to Guatemala as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Go get them.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Oh my God, I lost my agenda. She's right up there. Okay. So, oh, exciting. All right, well then I'm going to let Jeff introduce our next exciting segment.
Yes, this is part of our annual, we have things on an annual schedule, and we bring different administrators to you to talk about what has been going on in their area of the world. And this is Ashley Caswell, who is the Development and Community Resources Manager for the district. And actually, it's been a little over a year since Ashley's been able to report out to the board. So tonight, we're really pleased to have her presentation.
Thank you for having me. It has been about a year and a half since I've presented to you guys, so please feel free to stop me and have me backfill in on something that I may be jumping over. I'm really going to tie this presentation to our strategic plan and how The development office is really helping to push the strategic plan forward. So starting off, we're going to talk about STEM a little bit. This is hitting goal areas 1, objective 3, and also goal 4, objective 2. Last May, we initiated our first business roundtable with a STEM focus. Our initial thought was that we're implementing this new program district-wide, K-12, and while we're building the curriculum, we should really hear from businesses as to what they're looking for from their employees that they're hiring. So we reached out and had 7 business representatives from surrounding areas. Either the business was located in Cumberland, North Yarmouth, or they were a resident of Cumberland and North Yarmouth. So there was ties actually back to our community, which was not completely planned. We had students, staff, and administration all in the room. And it was very clear that transferable skills are what STEM field employers are looking for. Our staff was then going to take that and start working on curriculum that really worked on those transferable skills. Unum Tech Day is a program that we have participated in for the last 3 years, so it may sound familiar to some of you. It used to be a high school program, and 2 years ago it transitioned into a middle school program. They found that getting to high school students, it was a little too late in their education, so they moved to a middle school model. So for the last 2 years, I've traveled to Unum with 20 middle school students. And we worked in a day-long workshop with 6 other schools that also attended, and it was all focused around the different STEM fields at Unum. They had workshops, they provided lunch, we used their facility for the day. Students have loved the workshop both at the high school level and at the middle school level, and we've been encouraged to continue going to that program. And Siemens will come up a few times, and some of you may be familiar with this as well. Last year, we really partnered with Siemens on a number of fronts. They donated 25 wing kits to our 8th grade science program. They also donated their time. They came in and did energy audit days with our 7th grade science class. Wing kits with our 8th grade science class, and then they also donated a $10,000 grant to our STEM program. Next focus is on multiple pathways. Most of my work on this area has really been in conjunction with Mark Bay. We, in the past year, really in the past several months, have focused our relationship with the Chamber, specifically the Cumberland North Yarmouth Chamber, but also looking to the Greater Portland Chamber. We found a lot of excitement from our local chamber that just want to get involved with us in any way, shape, or form. They were very excited to have us there, but they were also very excited to tell us how great our students were. Well, it had nothing to do with the Pathways program. They were very quick to say, we had a student come in and for their senior project, they helped us with a martial arts class, or they helped us with X, Y, or Z, and they were just really, really excited about the possibilities that the Pathways program provides for us to partner with businesses. We are actually meeting with them the beginning of January to work on a roundtable that is going to be slated for, actually it's looking closer to February rather than late January. And we're working with the Greater Portland Chamber as well as our local chamber on that. The concept would be that they, as the businesses, would bring other businesses to the table, and we would provide students and businesses that we've already worked with to sort of talk about the program and how it could work. And then really talking about communications with our Pathways program. We're, I think, all pretty familiar with the awesome work that's happening in our Pathways program and the successes that we've seen. But that's not well known to everyone outside of our community. So that's something we're really focusing on, sending out some press releases to the local media, working with Department of Education. And then we created the short video from the community dialogue event that we'll be using to kind of publicize our Pathways program and the successes, and also using social media to go about those communications. Public engagement, well, it's not a specific area in the strategic plan. It ties into a lot of areas. So it ties into Goal 4, Objective 1 and 2, as well as Goal 3 with our staff engagement. Starting with our community engagement and aging in place, we've worked with them on several fronts. Specifically, snow shoveling, we heard, was a concern from a lot of our seniors. So we matched the Community Service Club up with Aging in Place, and the Community Service Club has agreed to go out and shovel citizens' driveways, decks, that type of thing after storms. And our Pathways program, specifically at the middle school level, has worked on some odd jobs that senior citizens have been needing. One happened to match up with a student that really was interested in ceiling fans and helped install a couple of ceiling fans in some citizens' houses. Again, random things that come up that we're able to help navigate. As I believe many of you attended our community dialogue event to help with the planning of the next strategic plan. I helped with the organization and design, as well as the invites with a group. We had 100 people from all 4 stakeholder groups attend. It was well received. The feedback we've gotten has been really positive. Although it only happens once every 3 years. We look forward to 3 years from now. Our staff engagement, we have implemented in the last couple years some new programs or reinvented programs. Our Employee of the Year program, you guys met Barry a couple weeks ago, who was our Employee of the Year for 2017. We are about to launch that 3rd year of the program in January. Last year we had over 50 nominations from our staff, and the program has gotten really great reviews. And then we last year completely redesigned our end of year celebration. It used to be a small being 80 person or so gathering at Valhalla, and we completely changed that, and all of our staff attend. So we have 350 staff members attending an event at the middle school in the beginning of June. It really helped, I think, with the whole staff being included as opposed to only a certain number could fit in Valhalla. Sorry. And then just our community partners, Foundation 51 and the PTO. I work as the district liaison with them. We meet on a quarterly basis, but we've really been able to partner on a number of fronts because of the ongoing relationship that we've been able to build with them. And then communication. We have launched into social media far beyond Jeff's Twitter and our district Facebook. 3 of the 4 schools are now online, with just 1 school left to get up and running. And we've really worked with social media integration, adding those constant updates to not only our district site, but also each school site as well has a feed that takes our social media and puts it right on the website. So there's always something new that automatically populates. And then we worked on implementing some new communication platforms this summer, specifically Swift K-12, which is like our alert solutions. It interfaces with PowerSchool, and we use that for our parents, staff, and students. And then we use a program called Neon CRM, which is a development database that we also use for our community contacts to get out our community news. Strategic plan with the Greely Center for the Arts. Just to lay out kind of what we're doing for some fundraising that should be launching in January. We are working on a brick and seat campaign. The brick campaign will be $51 for a brick. Those will be able to be sandblasted or engraved with a personalized message from each donor, as well as a seat campaign. There'll be 28 front row seats and 483, if I did the math correctly, of regular seats or other seats. Those will have a plaque that will be able to be personalized, and that will be on the arm of the seat. We're waiting on some final details with the brick campaign, and then that will launch. Moving ahead, we're looking for targeted development work around strategic plan initiatives. Right now, we're really focusing on the Greely Center for the Arts fundraising and really focusing on student learning, supporting students in their learning both in supplemental programs, helping to connect them with businesses such as our business roundtable, and other areas that may arise through our next strategic plan. And we will continue on public engagement, doing those stakeholder surveys that will go out beginning of next year, as well as working on the strategic planning process, bringing the community into the fold on that level, and ongoing consistent communication with the community. You can't over-communicate to some extent. And then if you don't mind, I'd just like to show you a few pictures of development in action, I guess. Starting at the high school, we had WGME come in for their School Spirit Challenge. So we partnered with Greely High School Student Council and WGME, and we came in third, I believe, for that challenge. For our Challenge Day program that we referenced, Jamie coordinated. On the back end of things, there's some bills that have to be paid. 2 years ago, we were able to partner with Hilton Doubletree and get our rooms donated. And this year, Acadia Hospital added us into their Pine Tree Circle of Change. And they covered all the transportation costs for both of our Challenge Day leaders. It's roughly a little over $3,000 that they're picking up for hotels, travel from California, car rental, luggage, that type of thing. This is Siemens. So this is actually our energy audit day with our 7th grade. We were in the boiler room. And then the far photo is the wind kit energy day. The woman in the middle that's explaining is actually like their lead engineer with Siemens that came up from Boston for 2 days to work with our 8th grade classes. So it was really cool, and she got down to like kid level. It was really neat to see. This is our tech day that I mentioned with Unum. And with that $10,000 that Siemens gave us, we were able to purchase a number of 3D printing. So this photo right here is with our 4th and 5th grade students watching the 3D printer for the very first time. I was literally standing on a chair to get up to see it because there were just kids everywhere. They're like, just back up a little bit so we can take a photo. But they were completely enthralled with it. And then this is a recent partnership that we just completed in November with the American Legion Post 91. We ran a Veterans Day program for all of our 3rd graders at the Wilson School. Veterans actually came into the school and taught the 3rd graders how to fold the flag, because the 3rd graders happen to be the ones that put up and take down the flag every day at the Wilson School. So they taught them how to properly fold the flag and other fun flag facts that really just kept the kids in mind. And I think Jeff, for the one that he went, kept the attention to fun learning that they were excited about. And I think that's it to wrap it up.
That's
Do you
it?
guys have any questions?
You guys have any thoughts or questions?
I just wanted to say that all of this work that you were doing is so valuable, and I love to hear that you're continuing to spread the word beyond the district about the Pathways program, and that it's super inclusive to everybody. People that want to install fans have an opportunity to work with people in the community and be helpful, and I mean, it's just awesome work. So great job.
I'd have to weigh in and talk about how easy you make some of this stuff look. And I know it's an absolute ton of work, and you do it all with a smile. I do have one question, if that's okay. Looking at both the multiple pathways as well as the public engagement, on these, a lot of them reference Cumberland. Can you talk about any of the things that are contributing on the North Yarmouth side as well?
Which area? I'm sorry.
Under, either the fan installations over here. Just are there some things that you could point towards on the other side?
So North Yarmouth is actually just getting their aging in place. It's not called aging in place.
Living well.
Living well.
Well, okay.
They're just getting that up and running. So I think once they get that up and running, we'll be able to make some more connections on that side of things.
Okay.
I actually think the business side is more from North Yarmouth than from Cumberland,
Oh, okay.
actually. I've worked specifically with their North Yarmouth Business Association on a couple of different things.
That's great. I figured that you had. I just wanted to make sure that we were bringing that up. Thank you.
Ashley, I think you bring so much to our district, and I think you've been with our district 3 years now, a little bit
Yep,
over 3 years.
Just finished 3. Yep.
You've really just brought a lot of your knowledge and experience, so thank you. And so much of this is, I remember on communications when this was all just in like its infancy starting, and you've really just fleshed it out and just done incredible work. And I think that we talk a lot about 21st century students and 21st century learning, but you're really making this district a 21st century school district, so thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I agree. I remember when we originally funded it and fought for it to be funded, and where this position has gone, while clearly addressing the what was initially identified. You're kind of ubiquitous. It's always, okay, where's a project? Ashley can support that, and it's a million different ways. And I know it's also, Jeff, your vision, and you guys are great partners in terms of getting things done. And you're right. I think that community outreach and involvement, and like Tyler was referencing, the all-inclusiveness to really have sort of the big tent of the district in terms of people having opportunities to cooperate and collaborate. And so we really, really appreciate, first of all, your time coming tonight, but everything that you do.
Thank you.
The devil are in the details, and you nail them. So we thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add that Ashley's work on the strategic plan really can't be overemphasized. That work is really, really incredible and valuable in supporting the strategic plan in ways that I didn't envision when the strategic plan was implemented, actually. Has really fleshed out and put a face on some of the projects that we're doing behind the scenes with the strategic plan, and Ashley really puts that visual there so that people can understand it and see the work that's getting done. So it's extremely valuable.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Karen.
No, it's all right. It's coming our way. I was just waiting for
I'm
this
sorry.
all to
I was
come
looking
down.
over. I thought everyone was done.
No, I'm actually glad that it was just sort of
All right.
working our way down here. I could say everything that everyone else has already said. I'm fortunate in that I'm one of the board members who gets to be on a lot of your committees. I seem to be on the board liaison for communication and development and things like that. So that's been fun and rewarding. So I get to see a lot of this up close. But I do have a question around the development work, because I know, first two things, the communication work, communication piece. I know originally when you were hired, one of the things that were identified was that the district wanted to do more communicating, and back and forth between our different stakeholders and the board. And so how do you feel that, between the use of stakeholder surveys that I know that you've implemented for students and staff, and, the surveys that we're doing with our stakeholders, like our community members and things like that, what have, I know you don't necessarily have data for this, but anecdotally, what's the feedback that you're getting on how those communications, how effective are those communications?
Sure. So we've implemented the stakeholder surveys for 2 years. This will be the 3rd year of the stakeholder surveys. And on all levels, they've gone up significantly. Last year, we had over 800 parents respond to our survey. I think the year before, it was like 300 or 200 and something. Same thing with our staff has stated a consistent 75 to 80% for 2 years, and our students have gone up significantly as well. So we're working with about probably 1,500 to 2,000 data points each year, just off of that stakeholder survey.
And the alumni group, you didn't get a chance. I know there's so much that you do that we can't touch on everything, but can you talk about the alumni database that you've been developing as well?
Yeah, so we have been working for about 1.5 years on developing our alumni database, which is a much harder project than I anticipated, just because people are moving constantly, and trying to keep up on valid information is difficult. So what I'm finding is, as we are communicating more with our stakeholders on a regular basis, they're starting to become more in tune to what we're doing as a district and trying to get back into the fold, as opposed to, I graduated, great, spent 12 years, it's been great, but I'm moving on to college and check in with a teacher or two, but they're actually starting to want information back from us, to come back and be an asset to the district, not just be an alumni.
And I think when we were working on the MSAD 51 celebration of 50 years, it was great to see all the different groups, like the Historical Society actually has become pretty plugged in to the Cumberland Historical Society, the North Yarmouth Historical Society, and all the different Greely grads who run Facebook pages for different groups and things like that. So I know you can't shove it all into one evening's worth of presentation, in 10 minutes or whatever we ask you to do, but it's been really a great change. And I just want to give you one last opportunity to plug the development campaign that's coming up for the SEAT campaign, because I think that's going to be a really important one that I know the community was interested in. So I want to make sure that we get to say on air, the community, you're going to have an opportunity to, buy a brick, buy a seat.
Yes, absolutely. So we're waiting on a brick engraver, or sandblaster, if you will. We got an ad alternate during the bid process of concrete pavers, which is not what we had originally priced out. And concrete is harder to sandblast into than a regular paver. So it takes a different type of machine, which changes your render, et cetera, et cetera. So as soon as we have the number of characters per line, per brick, nailed down, we'll be able to send that out. But yes, we are going to be launching that campaign in hopefully January. We have received one check already for a brick and a seat. And we are looking forward to that campaign launching and running with it. I think
So it'll be
a
on our
great
website,
addition.
and people hear about it through our Twitter feed and Just
Yes,
Reports.
and they'll be able to donate online.
always call us.
Or show up at the door. Yes.
Okay, I'm done with my shameless plugging. Thank you.
And isn't that seat that's already been purchased, isn't it a front row seat?
It is a front row seat.
Yeah, so there's only
It is a front row
27
seat.
front row seats left.
There is, and there might be
Okay.
less.
So does that mean that, like, if I go to something and someone's in my seat, I'm like,
No,
No.
it's not.
No,
if
there
your
is
name's
a
on it, doesn't mean
disclaimer.
you
There is
get
a
to sit there.
disclaimer.
It just means you get the plaque with your name. Doesn't mean you get to sit there.
you're like, tap, 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 you. Is that your name?
It's not happening.
Okay. In perpetuity, I get front row seats if I get one? Okay. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting, the whole Greely Arts Center for the Arts,
Center for the Arts.
the fundraising program, because that's one area I get a lot of people. I don't know if people are like, are you really fundraising? But so people are really excited about it, and we'll plug. I think it's great. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Moving on, I think we are at that exciting time of the night of the superintendent's report.
I thought you were going to say that lull in the meeting.
Absolutely not.
Oh.
Absolutely not.
So tonight, I'm happy to say once again, niche.com, which is an organization that does rank schools and school districts in the United States, once again has ranked our district 5th best school district in the state of Maine for 2018, which is the second year in a row that we have been ranked at that level. The middle school 6-8 ranked 6th best middle school in Maine. The high school also was the 6th best high school in the state. So again, it's one of many indicators we look at. It's certainly, we don't just look at one indicator, we look at multiple indicators. But that is one that we have been tracking for a while now. At the middle school 6-8, 17 new students were trained by the Anti-Defamation League of Maine, which we call the ADL, or is referred to as the ADL. And our students are now peer trainers. And this is something that's been going on for a few years and is coordinated by the counselors at the middle school. We're very proud of our students who have gotten trained. They have learned the value of diversity and cultural sensitivity and anti-discrimination, and having a group of students at our middle school who are trained to help other students is very important. In 4th and 5th grade news, the GMS 4-5 Green Team has made biodegradable bird feeders from pine cones, twine, shortening, and sunflower seeds. And these will provide our local birds with a place to go this winter, and hopefully something to eat as well. And if you get hungry, well, you'll know where to go. The Portland Press-Herald has been hosting our Greely Gazette newspaper club for grades 4 and 5, or has hosted. Our young reporters, photographers, and editors have learned a lot about the newspaper industry and the journalism industry by getting the red carpet treatment. So we want to thank the Press-Herald for their interest in our 4th and 5th grade middle school. I'd like to thank the PTO for their contributions to the enrichment programs. They recently told us that they will be donating $22,448 to students in grades K through 8 for the next school year, or for the next few months. So we want to thank
Really amazing.
the PTO, and earlier I had mentioned the Foundation 51 had a similar fundraiser as well that they have each fall, and are contributing as much. So we thank our community partners for their strong support of our schools. And the PTO has also been hosting, of course, parent university sessions, and they launch a lot of events in both communities. I'd like to congratulate Anna DeWolf. Over the weekend, she scored her 1,000th career point during a Greely girls basketball game. And Anna's did a great job with that. I believe the last time that happened on the girls basketball end was Ashley Story, I think, was 2-3 years ago.
I think Anna's a junior.
I think she's a junior.
She's not a senior. I mean, I think
She's a junior, right?
Yeah, I mean, so that's
Yeah,
really quite impressive. So.
very impressive. If I could get to 10, I'd be happy. So, and then finally, I know all of you look forward to this part of my post every time. Proficiency primer, and tonight's topic is multiple opportunities to demonstrate learning. So back in the old days when we went to school, or maybe it wasn't so old, we got a test or a quiz that was given back to us, and we got a poor grade at the beginning of class, which happened to me a lot. Well, not a lot, but sometimes. I would sit there thinking about that quiz or test the entire period, didn't hear the teacher once talking. And so that's kind of how things were done Of course, in the old days, and we don't do that anymore. And you're kind of wondering, how is it going to impact your grade? Well, today we give kids lots of opportunities to show their work in different ways, to retake. We're not perfect, and this is definitely the first year that we've launched full scale the proficiency-based educational experience for our students, especially at the high school this year. And it's certainly a work in progress, and it's not exactly where we want it, but we're moving in that direction and demonstrating learning in different ways, and having opportunities to learn it not just through a test or a quiz, but through projects and other experiences is also part of what we are trying to strive for. So that is your proficiency primer for today, and if you're interested, it will be on my blog. And we did have a mistake, and not a mistake. It's late. I'm saying mistake. We found an error in our blog post that found that some of our posts were not actually going out to parents and families. So we have corrected that error, and we've also sent a link out for previous blog posts if you would like to look at those. So thank you.
And just those blogs are great. I mean, they are really a really nice place for one stop. If you need to read something in terms of the overview, you guys do just a great job with it. You do a great job with it, so we appreciate that. Well, that's good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, and happy holidays.
Oh. Any thoughts or follow-up with Jeff? Okay, well then, public comment. Okay, then we're cooking. We're cooking right along. Now we're going to go to committee reports. Ms. Campbell, are you ready to start?
Yep, our finance committee meeting for tomorrow has been canceled. We have a number of topics for January, but they're just not, we have a quarterly update, budget to actual coming up in January. We have the audit in January. We have the meeting with the North Yarmouth budget committee, and I want to say counselor, but I know it's select board coming up in January. And so our topics for tomorrow, given that we had just met with the town of Cumberland and had a very abbreviated little finance committee meeting, there was really nothing to bring forward tomorrow. So we're going to have a jam-packed, and also our budget is going to start being rolled out in January through the finance committee in terms of starting to look at the priorities by the cost centers and starting with the schools and so on. So we'll have a busy January and then moving forward. So we don't have any meeting tomorrow, but I do want to extend my thanks to the town manager, Bill Shane, and the council members who are on the finance committee for the town of Cumberland, who were able to meet with us and just talk at a very high level about the challenges, budgetary challenges that we're both facing in the new year. So as we both start to put together our budgets, we've been doing this for a couple of years now. I think this was our, what do you think, fourth, fifth?
I'm gonna go with fourth.
Year? I think it's about our fourth year. And we've got it down to a good conversation that's beneficial to both, where we can understand what we've really, where is our enrollment truly at for a school district, where is the town property valuations truly at, and where are the excise tax truly at, and where's the recreation department, where are their expenses, where are their highs and lows, and where are our highs and our lows, and what are we both looking at for projects. So I don't know if any committee member wants to add to that, but thought it was good, and we're looking forward to having the similar conversation with North Yarmouth.
I very much enjoyed meeting with Cumberland. It was, you're right, just really great insights in the context of each other. Back to back. It was very constructive, and of course, I really look forward to meeting with North Yarmouth. So great job, guys, putting that together and putting all that, both the meetings, and then also we are about to roll into our budget season. So thank you very much for that.
First documents are due the end of the week.
All right. We will be on the edge of our seats. So
Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho. why don't we just turn to policy now?
Sure.
Okay.
So there are 8 policies coming up for first read. About a month ago, the policy committee met with Julie Olson, our director of instructional support, and she brought some policies and some changes. Some of these are slight changes to like legal references. Some of these are more pretty large overhauls of the policy. All of these changes were given to us via Drummond and Woodsum, as well as discussed, amongst administrators, and Julie's recommendations were taken as well. So I'll be available over the next few weeks if anyone wants to contact me, ask any questions. We've really tried to just get these up to date and really working for our administrators and for our students.
Yeah, these are some, there's some
Yep.
really important subjects, and so, obviously, as always, thanks to you and your whole committee for queuing it up and working with the appropriate resources, whether it's the attorneys or, Julie, et cetera, et cetera. So, thank you for this. Everyone, please, I encourage you, I know we're in the holiday season, but to please take a look at them and reach out to Kate or Jeff or anyone else with your thoughts, so we can begin to move these to second reading and adopt them as appropriate. Anything else? Nope. Okay. Karen, do you have anything for curriculum? I'm going to flip back to you for curriculum.
No, we have a meeting coming up on Wednesday. Let me just tell you what time it is, but it's, I think, it's 8, right? Yes. This Wednesday at 8 a.m. till 9:30.
Tyler, I'm sorry, I should have included you in that. Do you guys, anything? All right, sorry about that. Okay. So, you know what, so negotiations, Scott, that's you. Do you have anything?
Yeah, we've spoken with the association, and we'll be looking to have our first meeting after the break, and we'll be starting by getting together and talking about the process and future dates for negotiations.
Good.
So that's where we're at.
Thank you. Thank you for moving that along. Mike, facilities?
For facilities, nothing really new to reports from the facilities committee itself since the last meeting. However, Mr. Porter and myself did have the opportunity to go over and don our hard hats and do a tour of the Greely Center for the Arts.
Oh my gosh, I'm
still adapting to that new name, and it's incredible. I can't even do it justice by describing it, and I wish I could recall exactly how much fill has been brought in. But when you're standing on the back corner, and we've all seen the blueprints and we've all seen the renderings and the schematics, but when you're standing on the corner and you get a sense of the actual scale and magnitude that this facility is going to take on, it's remarkable. They've already started digging out where the orchestra pit is, the elevator shaft is up. They'll be delivering structural steel over Christmas vacation. It's just a really, really exciting time. And then staying along the theme of busy January, I would just remind everyone that on January 2nd, Facilities and Finance are having a joint committee meeting wherein we'll be meeting with Steve Blatt to review some preliminary findings of the space study. So that is sort of the biggest item that looms from my perspective, as we look out over the horizon of things that are coming down the pipeline. So really excited about the meeting on the 2nd, and all are welcome.
Great.
Can we wear hard hats for that?
I would love that, Kevin. Please do.
Awesome.
Well, that's good. That's very exciting. It's great to watch it go in, but and I imagine that if you're right there in the thick of it, it's even more impressive.
I would extend an invitation to any board member who's interested in seeing so far what's going on with the Performing Arts Center. If you'd like to take a brief tour, we could probably arrange that. So just let Scott or I know, and we can get that going. So Mike had a lot to see up there. The foundation. You don't know anything's happening until you really step into the foundation.
It's deceiving, because when I've been sort of driving through campus instead of going out and around, and you look and it's like, oh, okay, there's fence and they move some dirt and there's a little concrete, but when you actually get up there and you stand there and you start looking at the shape and the contour of the walls and the digging out of the pit and where the utilities are coming up, it's really taking shape.
Wow, exciting.
That's
Good.
exciting.
Well, thank you very much for that report. I'm really psyched. I'm getting in there. I'm getting in there with the hard hat. So, strategic planning.
It's yet again hard to follow, Mike.
Yeah.
So we just had we had a committee meeting this evening. I really want to jump in again and talk about all of the work that Ashley has done to make this a success thus far. From the way that there was so much information that came from the community dialogue night. And to distill that down into something workable, to distill it further into the survey that we began looking at as a committee tonight is just spectacular work, and we're deeply appreciative of that. Where we stand right now is going to continue looking at the language that is in that survey and try to advance some information back to Ashley. She'll make it look much, much better. We're looking to distribute that on January 22nd. It will be available for a week to the multiple stakeholder groups that will be taking this. We would encourage as many people as possible to take advantage of having their opinions heard in that survey. And then Ashley, yet again, will shoulder the burden of trying to make sense of a lot of this, and then we'll digest that as a group. Have I
Great.
missed anything? No?
Perfect. We'll keep our eye out for that. Thank you. Tyler, with environmental stewardship?
Nothing to report except that our next meeting is January 9th at 3:30.
Okay, great. Thank you. Students? Student report?
What's going on? We did have the hypnotist, which was like it was interesting. There were some problems with like the audio, and then of course like some kids were faking it. But I think there was like two or three that like really went for it, and it was really interesting to see. It was different, which is good. It sort of broke up the sort of 4-week stretch that we had. But no, that was fun. And then also the surprise assembly for Miss Jones was also pretty exciting, I guess you could say, because we had honestly, we thought school was going to be canceled because it was snowing at the time and it was getting pretty bad, so we were kind of pumped. But no, it's always nice to hear. I mean, we see Miss Jones like in the hallways between classes, like she's always smiling, she's always waving to kids. Or she's always like working with kids, so it's nice to see that she's getting the recognition that she deserves. But yeah, no, Christmas vacation's right around the corner. We're all excited for the holidays, but yeah, everything's going smoothly.
Good. Anything else?
Ditto.
Okay.
The hypnotist was really cool. That was to wrap up sort of like an additional spirit week we had. I mean, we're dressing up every day for a week, and then that was to kind of wrap it up in an afternoon assembly. So yeah, fun things, and then break on Friday. So
Good. And good, yeah.
yeah.
I think everyone's pretty psyched for the week.
Yep.
So, well, thank you. Thanks very much. So, anything in communications? All right, moving on. Then let's, do you want to do the first one?
So we have one item for policy action tonight, and that is the deletion of policy JJA, student organizations. It's not on the commonly held list of recommended policies. It was advised that we take it out because the attorneys as well as our administrators feel like it's covered in other policies and procedures. It's also, anything with student organizations is also outlined in our handbook, correct?
Correct.
So we just feel like our policy manual is a bit lengthier than other districts, because we are pretty comprehensive, and anytime that we can make it more concise and narrow and really not have a policy where we don't need it, that's always a win. So
Great.
I propose that we delete it.
Would you like to turn that proposal into a motion?
Sure. I move to approve the deletion of policy JJA, student organizations, from the policy manual as recommended.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you very much for that. Turning then to the next item for action, the annual certification of the superintendent. Do you want to sort of queue up what that is?
Yeah, this is a state requirement. Each December, by the end of December, the State of Maine Department of Education requires that each board notify the State Department by certification of the board that there will be a superintendent next year in the district by law, state law. each district must have a superintendent, and to the best of the board's knowledge, you think you know who it will be. So that's essentially what it is. It's just saying, yes, we think this person will be the superintendent next year. The state tracks vacancies in the superintendency, and so this is a rule that they've had for many, many years.
Okay.
That's all it is.
So we're just certifying that you're showing up.
That is correct.
Okay. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll move to approve the annual certification of the superintendent.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Thanks for showing up, Jeff.
Thanks for showing
You're
up.
welcome.
Now you have to. Now we're certifying you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. I'm gonna, Jeff, Scott, however you guys want to handle item 9C.
Yeah, oh, Scott.
Sure. So back in June of 2017, I brought you a vote that designated the energy project financing for Mabel I. Wilson School as all non-taxable, which means when you put it out, the interest rate is significantly lower because the person that's buying your paper or buying your note pays no taxes on it, okay? So what we found is that in order to comply with IRS guidelines and some of the other debt service that we've entered into this year, we need to restructure that Bank of America lease with a small portion of it as being taxable. And that's in order to comply with IRS guidelines. So this resolution allows us to do that.
I'm gonna just ask for a motion and then we can get to some discussion.
I'll make the motion. So I move that the resolution entitled Amended and Restated Resolution to authorize lease purchase of energy conservation and air quality improvements at Mabel I. Wilson School in aggregate principal amount of $2,446,477 be adopted in form presented to this meeting, and that an attested copy of said resolution be filed with the minutes of this meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions on this?
Scott, could you just clarify
Sure.
on this, how this came up?
Yeah, when we were doing the bond anticipation notes on the financing for the district, and we had also done, if you remember, the advance refinancing of the high school, what we found was that if you're a small issuer, $10 million or less of debt, all of your debt can be considered non-taxable, okay? We've exceeded that by about $400,000, which isn't a bad thing. We would have just, if we had known at the time when we'd taken this vote, that we would have exceeded that slightly, and it had to do around the refunding of the high school, which was still a really good deal. We would have restructured it at the time as part of it being non-taxable and part of it being taxable. And that's really what it's all about. It's to comply with IRS guidelines, and Bank of America will have to pay tax on the interest earnings of $425,000 of that note. And that's really what it's about.
Thanks a bunch. That
Sure.
makes it very clear.
Good.
Any other questions?
I would just say that I thought that Scott was able to bring the Finance Committee, and I know Kevin had to miss that meeting, and it's my fault for not following up with Kevin after that, but I thought this was a problem that probably, I'm not going to say a problem, but this was something that was so minor that it might not have even been noticed, but because Scott goes back and forth over all the documents, he found it and brought it straight away. So I think the difference in interest is relatively small, and the lease purchase is something that we can refinance anyways as we move further down the road. So, and really the most valid point out of the whole thing for me was that it didn't change the amount of money we needed to finance. We were going to finance.
Right. It's just a matter of putting it into compliance.
And the taxable rate is still 3.8, which is significantly lower than most others would get. And really working with Jim Safi and Bond Counsel and Bill Stockmeyer and Greg M. at Drummond Woodsum as we're putting all these finances together. They're great experts and they're very helpful, so we were able to figure out how to do this and restructure it so that we complied with all the IRS regulations.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much.
Good timing for us actually to find it now, so it was good.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it was basically as an adjustment, and when these things come up, we just make sure we take the advice of legal counsel and In this case, they advise us to just go back and restructure, excuse me, this particular part of the bond. And it's about $3,000 additional in interest we'll be paying each year,
Okay.
just to give you that quick idea.
All right. Any other questions or comments? I'm going to just, all in favor of the motion? Okay. No one's opposed? All right, super. Then why don't we just keep rolling with it? Let's go to item D.
Item D, I'll make the motion that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Lease Purchase of Technology Equipment in the principal amount of $350,000 be adopted in form presented to this meeting.
I'll take a second, and then we'll go ahead and people can fill in what it's all about. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any, Scott,
Want
do
me
you
to tee it
wanna-
up?
yeah,
Sure.
if you want more.
Sure, there's three, you'll see all three of these votes are very similar. During the district budget, and when we're creating the district's budget, in our budget, we have the lease purchase payments that are available for technology, furnishings, and school buses. And with those payments in there, this resolution, what it allows is for the superintendent to enter into those lease agreements, and that's really what this vote is all about, okay? But they're 4 budgeted items, and the number that you see there is a not-to-exceed number for what we have in the budget.
Okay, so these are budgeted already?
Everything's budgeted. All these items, the payments on these leases are already budgeted, and if everybody recalls, what we try to do is, we bring on a lease, and we hope, that we're in a schedule where one lease falls off, is we bring a new one on so that we try to stabilize the budget that way.
Great.
Okay.
Are there any questions or thoughts on that? Then let's go ahead and vote on the lease purchase of technology equipment. All in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Then I'm going to ask to take a motion on the second, the E, lease purchase of school bus.
Yep, I'll move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Lease Purchase of a School Bus in the principal amount of $103,767 be adopted in form presented to this meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I did want to add one more thing on this one, Gigi.
Sure.
So if you recall, back when we went through our budget process, we didn't know if we were going to get approved state funding on the school bus. And, each year we keep applying. They have 2 cycles of rating cycles. And I'm happy to report to the board that this particular purchase will be state subsidized. So the lease purchase on this will make the first payment in this fiscal year, and it'll be subsidized in the next fiscal year
Great.
and the year thereafter over a 3-year period. Okay.
Great. Are there any other questions? Then let's move to a vote. All in favor of the lease purchase of school bus? And is anyone opposed? Nope. I'd like to take a motion on the lease purchase of the furniture.
So I'll make the motion that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Lease Purchase of Furniture in the principal amount of $140,000 be adopted in form presented to this meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion? Any comments or questions? Okay, then let's go ahead and vote on this. All in favor of the lease purchase of the furniture? Is there anyone opposed? Great. Unanimous. Then, would someone like to adjourn this meeting? Move to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any comments? All in favor? Thank you very much. Happy holidays, everyone.